It had been one of those rare days when the paperwork wrapped up early, and the precinct felt a little lighter. It wasn't often that I finished my shift ahead of schedule, so I decided to surprise Lily. We hadn't spent much time together lately, and I hoped that maybe, just maybe, we could have a nice evening and recapture some of that spark that had been missing. I pulled into the driveway and noticed Lily's car parked haphazardly, as if she'd rushed home. Strange, I thought. Lily was usually so meticulous. I grabbed my jacket from the passenger seat, locking the car, and made my way toward the house. The faint sound of music drifted through the air, the soft thump of bass mixing with the occasional splash of water. I smiled. She must be by the pool, relaxing. Maybe I could join her, share a drink, and let the night take us somewhere easy and carefree. But as I rounded the corner, my heart skipped a beat. There they were, Lily and her twin sister Emily, lying on separate loungers, their bikini tops carelessly tossed to the side. My wife's skin gleamed under the late afternoon sun, and Emily's was just as radiant, their chests rising and falling in sync as they chatted lazily. I stopped, unsure of what to say, the sight too surreal to process. "Hey!" I called out, my voice hoarse, betraying my unease. Emily's eyes flew open, and she scrambled for a towel, her face flushing a deep crimson. "Michael! Oh my God, you scared me!" She laughed nervously, wrapping herself up, avoiding my gaze. "I thought you weren't coming home until later." "Shift ended early," I said, keeping my tone neutral. My eyes flicked to Lily, who seemed entirely unbothered by my presence. She made no move to cover herself, instead leaning back and letting out a heavy, exasperated sigh. "Well, isn't this a surprise?" Lily said dryly, not bothering to meet my eyes. "Couldn't even text to say you were coming home early, could you?" I swallowed the irritation that was bubbling up inside me. Didn't realize I needed to make an appointment in my own house. Emily glanced between us, her discomfort palpable. I should probably go get dressed." She stood awkwardly, gathering her things. "It was nice seeing you, Michael." "Don't rush off," Lily said, still not looking at me. "It's not like you're intruding." "No, it's fine," Emily said quickly, and she disappeared into the house before I could say anything else. Now it was just Lily and me. The tension between us felt like a living thing, thick and oppressive, wrapping itself around us. I took a step closer, my eyes locked on hers. "What's going on, Lily?" She finally turned to look at me, her eyes narrowed, lips pursed in that familiar way that told me she was annoyed. "What do you mean?" she snapped. "Emily and I were sunbathing." "It's not a crime, Michael." I shook my head. "That's not what I'm talking about, and you know it." "What are you getting at?" she challenged, sitting up now, her tone defensive. "Are you accusing me of something?" "I'm just trying to understand," I said carefully, choosing my words with caution. "Why the secrecy? Why this distance between us?" She laughed, but it was a harsh, humorless sound. "Oh, so now you care about distance. Maybe you should have thought about that the last few months when you were more married to your job than to me." I took a deep breath, trying to keep my frustration in check. "This isn't about my job, Lily. It's about us. You've been pulling away, and I don't know why." She rolled her eyes, standing up and grabbing her towel. "You're being paranoid, Michael. You always jump to the worst conclusions." "I'm not jumping to anything," I insisted, stepping closer. "I just want to know what's going on." "Nothing is going on," she shouted, finally losing her composure. "Why can't you just let it go?" "Because I love you." The words tore out of me before I could stop them. "Because I feel like I'm losing you, and I don't know why." For a moment, something flickered in her eyes, regret, sadness, maybe even guilt, but it was gone as quickly as it had appeared. She shook her head, pulling the towel tighter around herself. "You're not losing me, Michael," she said, her voice suddenly soft, almost tired. "But you can't control everything. You need to trust me." I opened my mouth to respond, but the words wouldn't come. What could I say? That I was terrified? That I felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, and one wrong step would send us both tumbling into the abyss. Before I could find my voice, Lily turned away, heading toward the house. "Dinner will be ready in an hour," she said over her shoulder, the emotion gone from her voice, replaced by that cold, distant tone I was coming to dread. "You should change out of your uniform." I watched her walk away, feeling the weight of her words settle in my chest like stones. Something was wrong, terribly wrong, and I was powerless to stop it. As the sliding door clicked shut behind her, I stood there, staring at the empty pool, the sun dipping lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the water. It felt like an omen, a warning of darker things yet to come. The following day dragged on like molasses. I could barely concentrate at work, the haunting memory of Lily's cold demeanor and that troubling moment by the pool replaying in my mind on a loop. I kept glancing at the clock, wishing time would speed up, but it felt like each minute stretched into eternity. When I finally clocked out, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was seriously amiss. As I drove home, my thoughts spiraled. I had tried to brush it off, but my instincts told me that there was more going on than Lily had let on. I needed answers, and with every passing second, my resolve hardened. I parked my car, took a deep breath, and walked toward the house, determined to confront Lily about what I had overheard. Upon entering, I found the living room dimly lit, the soft hum of music filtering through from the backyard. I stepped outside, and the sight that met me made my heart drop. Emily was there again, lounging by the pool with a drink in hand. Lily was with her, their laughter ringing out like a siren's call. But it wasn't the laughter that unsettled me, it was the way Lily looked so carefree, so unburdened by the weight of our reality. "Hey there, detective," Emily called out, flashing me a smile that quickly faded when she noticed my serious expression. "What brings you home so early?" "I need to talk to Lily," I said, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. I met Lily's gaze, and for a moment, the lightness of her laughter dimmed. "Is everything okay?" Emily asked, concern lacing her voice as she sat up straight. "Just a personal matter," I replied, not wanting to involve her in this mess. Lily stood, crossing her arms defensively. "Michael, is this really necessary? Can't we just enjoy our time together?" "No," I said firmly, taking a step closer. "I need to know what's going on between you and Ryan." Lily's expression shifted, a flash of annoyance crossing her face. "What are you talking about?" "Don't play dumb," I snapped, my frustration boiling over. "I know about your plans to cheat. I heard you and Emily talking yesterday." Emily's eyes widened, darting between us. "Lily, you didn't tell him." "Tell him what?" Lily's voice was cold, but I could see the flicker of panic behind her facade. "I didn't plan anything." "Lily," I pressed, my heart racing, "you were going to cheat on me with a mutual friend. How could you even think about doing that?" "Michael, it's not what you think," she insisted, her voice rising. "It was just a stupid idea. A moment of weakness. I didn't think you would find out." "You didn't think I'd find out?" I shot back. "You're my wife, and you're planning to betray me. How could you even entertain that idea?" "I was feeling lost," she shouted, tears welling in her eyes. "I thought maybe something was missing in our relationship. You're always working, and I just wanted to feel alive." Emily interjected, her voice urgent. "Lily, you can't do this. Michael loves you. You're throwing everything away for a fleeting thrill. Stay out of this, Emily." Lily snapped, but the anger in her voice lacked conviction. "No, I won't," Emily insisted, her tone firm. "You need to think about the consequences. You could break his heart. What if he can't forgive you?" Lily's face crumpled, and for a moment, I saw the vulnerability underneath her bravado. "I thought I could just do it once," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I thought it wouldn't matter, once. Just once." I said incredulously. "You think it wouldn't matter? This is my life, Lily. Our life. You're risking everything for a moment of excitement." The silence that followed was deafening. Lily Lily looked away, her shame evident. I didn't mean for it to get this far, she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. I just felt neglected. I thought maybe it would make me feel better. I shook my head, the pain in my chest feeling like a vice grip. You think cheating on me will solve anything? That it would bring you happiness? It was a stupid thought, she cried, her defenses crumbling. I know that now. I was just scared that I would lose you, but I didn't want to be the one left behind. I took a step back, my heart racing. You're the one pushing me away, Lily. I'm not going anywhere, but if you keep this up, I won't have a choice. Emily stood between us, her face pale. You need to make a choice, Lily, she said softly, her voice filled with concern. You can't keep doing this. You need to decide what you want. Lily's gaze shifted from me to Emily, tears spilling down her cheeks. I don't know what I want, she admitted, her voice cracking. I don't know what's wrong with me. The weight of her words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. My heart ached for her, but I felt betrayed, too. You need to figure this out, I said, my voice steadier now, though the hurt was still raw. Because if you choose to go through with this, I don't think I can be here for it. Lily's expression softened, and for the first time, I saw the flicker of remorse. Michael, I'm so sorry, she whispered. I never wanted to hurt you. I wish I could believe that, I replied, my voice heavy with sorrow. But right now, I need to protect myself. I need time. As I turned to leave, I felt the weight of her gaze on my back, the pain in her eyes echoing my own. I walked away, knowing that whatever came next would change everything between us. The laughter and lightness that had filled our home felt like a distant memory, and as I closed the door behind me, I knew I had to confront the reality of our unraveling marriage. The next day dragged on, the hours filled with an unbearable weight. I kept replaying my confrontation with Lily in my mind, each moment etched painfully into my memory. Her tears, her excuses, they tore at me like jagged edges. My heart felt heavy, the air thick with unspoken words and unresolved feelings. I found myself staring at the clock, counting down the minutes until my shift ended, but the burden only seemed to grow heavier. Finally, when the workday was over, I grabbed my jacket and headed to the parking lot. The last thing I wanted was to face Lily, to sit in the same room and pretend everything was normal. I climbed into my car, gripping the steering wheel tightly as I made a decision. I needed to escape. I drove to a bar on the outskirts of town, a dimly lit dive that had always felt welcoming in its own grungy way. As I stepped inside, the familiar smell of stale beer and fried food enveloped me, and I headed straight to the bar. The bartender, a burly man with a thick beard, nodded in recognition. The usual, yeah, I replied, my voice rough. I needed a drink, no, several drinks. I needed to drown out the ache that was threatening to consume me. As the first shot slid down my throat, I felt a slight release of the tension that had built up. I ordered another, and then another, each one numbing the pain a little more. The chatter around me blurred into an indistinct hum as I slipped deeper into the haze. A few hours later, I was several drinks in and feeling lightheaded. I could hear snippets of conversation around me, but I was lost in my thoughts of betrayal and heartbreak. The bartender slid a fresh drink in front of me. You sure you want to keep going, man? You're looking a little worse for wear. I waved him off, forcing a smile. I'm fine. Just enjoying my night. But even I could hear the slur in my words. Just then, a familiar face appeared next to me. It was Ryan, the guy Lily had been so eager to cheat with. My heart raced, anger bubbling up as I met his gaze. What are you doing here? I snapped, my words sharper than I intended. Hey, Michael, he said, raising his hands defensively. Just grabbing a drink. Didn't expect to see you here. Yeah, well, I didn't expect to see you anywhere near my wife either, I shot back, my voice low and dangerous. Ryan's expression turned serious. Look, man, I know things are complicated. I didn't know you guys were having issues, didn't know. I laughed, the sound bitter. You were practically the reason for them. He shook his head, looking genuinely concerned. I'm not trying to be that guy. If you think I'm trying to come between you two, you're mistaken. I leaned in closer, my anger boiling over. You don't get to play the innocent card here. I know what she's planning, and I won't stand by and let it happen. Michael, listen, Ryan said, his voice steady. If she's unhappy, you can't blame me for that. You need to figure out your marriage before it falls apart completely. His words struck a nerve, and I stood up abruptly, swaying slightly. Don't lecture me about my marriage, I said, feeling a mix of rage and sorrow. You're the last person I want advice from. I turned to walk away, the anger still coursing through me. I stumbled outside into the cool night air, taking deep breaths to steady myself. But the alcohol had blurred my senses, and I felt the world spin around me. The street was empty, the silence a stark contrast to the chaos in my mind. I needed to get home, but the thought of facing Lily made my stomach churn. Instead, I found myself walking, the soles of my shoes hitting the pavement rhythmically. I didn't know where I was going, I just wanted to escape. After wandering aimlessly for what felt like hours, I found myself in front of our house. The porch light flickered, casting eerie shadows. I hesitated, my hand hovering over the doorknob. I could feel the weight of what awaited me inside, questions, accusations, the shattered pieces of our life together. I was about to turn away when the door opened, and there stood Lily, her eyes wide with surprise and something else, anger. Concern. I couldn't tell through the haze of drunkenness. Michael, she said, her voice edged with disbelief. What are you doing out here? Just getting some air, I replied, trying to sound casual, but the slur in my voice betrayed me. What are you doing home? Her expression shifted from surprise to frustration. I've been worried sick. You just disappeared without a word. Maybe I just needed a break from the drama, I shot back, the alcohol giving me a false sense of bravado. Lily stepped outside, crossing her arms defensively. You can't just run away every time things get tough. That's not how marriage works, right? Because running off to cheat with a friend is the solution, isn't it? I spat, the hurt and anger pouring out in a way I hadn't intended. She flinched, her eyes narrowing. I made a mistake, Michael. I told you that. But you getting drunk isn't going to fix anything, neither is you planning to betray me. I yelled, the words echoing in the stillness of the night. Lily opened her mouth to respond, but I turned on my heel, feeling the weight of my own vulnerability. I staggered away, feeling lost in the dark, the world spinning out of control. As I walked, I couldn't shake the feeling that the ground was shifting beneath me, and with every step, I was sinking deeper into a void I wasn't sure I could escape. The night swallowed me whole, and I knew that whatever path lay ahead, it was one I would have to face alone. The following days passed in a blur of confusion and heartache. Each morning, I awoke with a pounding headache and a gnawing sense of dread. The guilt of my drunken outburst hung over me like a storm cloud, casting shadows over every interaction I had, whether at work or home. I had tried to distance myself from the chaos, but it only seemed to grow heavier with each passing moment. When I finally returned home after a long day, the atmosphere felt charged, electric with unspoken words. Lily was there, sitting on the couch with her arms crossed, her expression a mix of anger and sorrow. I hesitated at the door, suddenly unsure if I wanted to step into the brewing storm. Michael, she said, her voice strained. We need to talk. Yeah, I replied, trying to keep my tone neutral, but the bitterness lingered. I figured that much. She gestured for me to sit, her eyes flickering with a mix of determination and fear. I want to apologize for what I said the other night. I was hurt and scared, and I lashed out. But we can't keep doing this. Ignoring the problem won't make it go away. I sank into the chair across from her, the distance between us feeling like an insurmountable chasm. You think I'm the one ignoring the problem? You're the one who was about to cheat on me with Ryan. Lily flinched, and I could see the pain in her eyes. I know, and I regret it. But can't we work through this together? I love you, Michael. I want to fix this, do you? I challenged, leaning forward, my heart racing. Because love isn't just words. It's actions. And right now, your actions say otherwise. Lily bit her lip, her gaze dropping to the floor. I've been feeling lost, Michael. I thought about cheating because I was trying to find a way to feel something, anything. I didn't think it would get this complicated. I don't want to lose you, then why put us in this position in the first place? I asked, frustration rising in my chest. You could have talked to me. We could have worked on it together, but instead, you decided to seek comfort in someone else. Her expression softened, regret washing over her features. I was scared you wouldn't understand. I thought maybe I could just escape for a moment. Escape? That's what you call betrayal. I felt my heart clench, the anger mixing with sorrow. You don't just escape from a marriage, Lily. You confront the issues head-on. I know, she said, her voice trembling. I messed up. But I want to make it right. Please. For a moment, I was struck by the sincerity in her voice. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe we could fix this. But doubt lingered like a shadow, gnawing at my resolve. Then let's try, I said slowly, trying to muster a glimmer of hope. But it's going to take more than words. We need to be honest with each other, no more hiding. Lily nodded, tears brimming in her eyes. I promise. I'll be honest with you, Michael. No more secrets. Just as the tension seemed to lift slightly, a loud knock echoed from the front door. I glanced at Lily, who looked equally confused. Who could that be? Let's find out, I replied, standing up. My heart raced again, uncertain of what awaited us. As I opened the door, Ryan stood there, a hesitant expression on his face. Hey, can I talk to you? He asked, his voice low. Now isn't a good time, I said curtly, ready to close the door, but he stopped me with a raised hand. Wait, please. I know I'm the last person you want to see, but this is important. I owe you an apology. Lily stepped forward, her eyes widening. Ryan, what are you doing here? Just let me speak, he said, glancing at her before turning back to me. I didn't come here to cause more trouble. I came to own up to my part in this. Your part. I scoffed, crossing my arms. You were the one ready to take advantage of my wife. I get that, he replied, his tone sincere. But I want you to know I didn't push her into anything. It was never my intention to hurt you or Lily. I've had feelings for her, yes, but I never wanted it to go this far. I regret it. Regret isn't enough, Ryan, I said, my anger simmering just beneath the surface. I know, and I'm sorry, he continued, his gaze steady. But I think it's important for both of you to know that I don't want to come between you. I'll step back. I promise. You two should work this out. Lily looked at me, her expression conflicted. Do you mean that? She asked Ryan, her voice trembling. Yes, he replied firmly. I won't interfere anymore. I just wanted you to know that I care about you, Lily, but I respect your marriage too much to get involved. You both deserve to be happy. Lily's eyes glistened with tears as she processed his words. I didn't mean for any of this to happen, she said softly. I was lost, and I shouldn't have put myself in that position. I know, Ryan replied, his voice sincere. And I'm sorry too for my part. I'll give you space. As he turned to leave, I felt a mix of anger and relief wash over me. You should stay away from her, I warned, my voice low but steady. If you truly care about her, you'll respect the boundaries. I understand, Ryan said, his gaze unwavering. Take care, both of you. He walked away, leaving Lily and me standing in the doorway, the air heavy with uncertainty. The weight of what had just transpired hung between us, but something had shifted. Michael, Lily began, her voice shaking. I know, I interrupted, running a hand through my hair in frustration. We need to confront the issues we've been avoiding. No more secrets, no more hiding. Lily nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. I'm ready to be honest. I want to fix this. I love you. The sincerity in her voice struck a chord within me. I stepped closer, wrapping my arms around her, feeling the warmth of her body against mine. I love you too, I murmured, trying to keep my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. As we stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, I realized that love was not just a feeling, it was a choice, a commitment to face the difficult moments together. And while the road ahead would be fraught with challenges,